Welcome back. Debbie is still here to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business Podcast. My name is Kara Buntin. I've owned a home-based business in one form or another since 1999. That's what we talk about here. When did you start your business?
The cake one?
Yeah.
2009.
2009. Okay.
Yeah, about a year after we moved here.
Okay. And we both did wedding cakes, and that's how we met.
Oh.
But I think we met online, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today is meeting people either online, usually online, because most of the people that watch this work online. Like we sell online, it's all online.
Mm-hmm.
With the wedding stuff, we did a lot of networking events. So you'd go and meet people in real life, and you know how that is. So
hit or miss.
Hit or miss. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it.
Hit or miss.
That's generous.
Mm-hmm.
The hit or miss is good. Yeah, but when you meet people online, do you want to meet them in real life? And I think that we hooked up, like we connected because it was Cake Central, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay. This was a forum for cake decorators.
That was worldwide.
It was worldwide,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it just happened that Debbie was in Richmond. I was in Richmond. There were a few other people in Richmond.
And Kara, we realized that we were all in the same town.
Yeah.
And so you said, why don't we, meet up in real life? And I think you were networking to see, like if there was a job you couldn't take that, you felt comfortable referring one of us, or like, if you got sick, that was always.
It's good to have backup.
It is.
For wedding stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Have a plan B.
Yeah.
And to see if you can.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. But so we got together. It was you and me, and there were, I can see their faces. I remember Sochi.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did her wedding cake.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did her wedding cake.
That's right.
Remember?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And she had a grievance also against the person that I had a grievance against. And Debbie had a grievance. Did you have a grievance against this person?
Against?
Or just he who shall not be named.
Oh, yeah. I hated that guy.
Yeah, okay. I hated him too. So anyway, we all kind of, you bond with people online. But then what happens when you get together in real life?
Mm-hmm.
Hit or miss.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought about this because I went to see Patty at the craft show, and Debbie came with me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this would be a really good podcast to talk about this, because I would guess that a lot of the people who sell online are introverts. And you sell online, number one, to reach more people, but also because then you don't have to deal with people so much,
mm-hmm.
right? So do you have any... I'm thinking, and it's not just meeting people online, though. It's just like meeting people in your industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be careful. You need to be really careful. And sometimes people are in Facebook groups that are for that topic.
Right.
And you think everybody's getting along until someone tries to do something to double cross your business, or and it's
mm-hmm.
there's parallels between real life and online.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You give somebody enough time and they'll show their true colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to.
I know exactly who I'm thinking of, who seemed very nice at first.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to write it down. Yeah. We don't want to mention names because these people are still probably lurking around. So just FYI, we are writing. Yeah. I wasn't thinking her, but that is one. Yes.
You were thinking of.
That's a good one. No. Oh, that's another one. Yeah. No, I was thinking locally.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, local. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
There are a lot of times when you meet someone and, I had people, there was a cake club at one point when I first moved here, and I had started my business, but I found, I don't know how I found these people. And it was a cake club at this woman's house. So I went over, and it wasn't a cake club. It was these 5 or 6 women sitting around gossiping and eating snacks. And they weren't talking about cake decorating or anything. And I realized very quickly that this is the woman whose house it was at was just there to hold court. And not talk about cakes or anything. And then, but then she did start talking about cakes because I was asking, do you all sell cakes? Do you have businesses? And she's like, oh, I just sell them, here and there, which means she's working under the table. She's not licensed. At that point, there was no cottage food industry. So you had to be licensed to sell food, which she was not. All right. So I was the only one there. And then they quickly realized that I knew more about them, about cake decorating than they did. And they didn't like that.
Right.
So I quit going to those meetings. But I did meet a couple people through that who were nice, So you cannot, you might be able to find that. I don't know. But you have to be really careful.
Yeah, I remember on the cake forum where we met, and it was, like you said, worldwide. And some people that were on this forum all the time, oh, I just love you guys, and you're so wonderful, and, you're like the best friends that I've never met. And I thought, you don't really know people. Maybe it's a generational thing because you and I did not grow up on social media.
Yeah.
But I was like, to me, that's just a kind of an odd thing to say.
Yeah.
Because, you don't know somebody until, you see them in person and you kind of, you get that vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I'm thinking of the face you made when I wrote down that name. And you have to be careful. Okay, let's talk about the people, because this is
whose names you wrote down.
Whose names you wrote down. Let's talk about the one whose name I wrote down, because that's the kind of person, and you probably will all run into this. If you are new to selling online, you will run into this eventually in Facebook groups or in groups about your product or whatever. There are people who are very interested in finding out all about your business so they can copy you.
Yep.
And usually turn into an undercutter.
Yep.
Because they're going to take your ideas, they're going to sell it just a little cheaper, and that's their whole MO. So that's the one that I wrote down.
Yeah.
Is Debbie's favorite because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sickeningly fake sweet, but yeah, very devious. And, that's just not my thing.
No, I mean, you have to be careful. And, not everyone is like that. Don't be afraid to meet up with people in real life. But if it's someone in your category, you don't also have to tell them all your secrets.
Right.
Yeah.
Just keep your eyes open. Pretend it's a first date, because in a way,
it
sort of is.
Yeah.
And just, listen to people and, just watch how they interact with you, or how they're, like if you're at a craft show and you're watching them interact with their customers or, whoever else is working in their booth with them, people show who they really are.
Yeah.
When they don't mean to, but they do. They do. I
had one woman come over here. We had like cake club, and it said, I'll have it at my house one night. They didn't like that, but she came, and I think she was new. It was like a new group.
Okay. And
she was asking me really nosy questions about my business. Like, how do you do this? What do you do this? And I finally said to her, are you starting your own business or something? Why are you asking me all these questions? I just put it out there. And she was like, well, yeah. And I was like, don't come into my house and try to ask me, like, really, I mean, they were very pointed questions about exactly how I did things.
Yeah.
It's like, go do your own damn research. You don't have to copy me, And it turns out that she was the one, I don't know if you know this woman, if I tell you, she didn't like buttercream. She didn't like the way that it felt, and she didn't like the way it tasted. And so she would only do fondant. And I'm like, well, good luck to you, because people in Richmond, it's like, last week in the podcast, Debbie was talking about the bride who wanted the cake out in the field in July.
In the sun.
But no fondant. I don't want fondant.
Right.
It's unrealistic. But people in Richmond don't like fondant. And I said to her, you're eliminating like 90% of the potential customers that you have if you do that. She's like, well, I don't like buttercream, so I'm not going to do it. And she was out of business in a year,
But to me, the ironic thing is when you have a fondant covered cake, you still have buttercream on it, because fondant's not going to stick to the cake. It's got to have.
Yeah.
Ironically, I'd say 90% of my business was fondant.
Really? See, I got people constantly, I don't want fondant, I just want buttercream. And so, I don't know. You tend, but then it could be that you're attracting the people for things that you have in your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So if you started out with some fondant cakes, then people see that and they're like, oh, okay. So the people who like that style are going to come to you.
Yeah.
You know,
your cakes, you did a lot more traditional kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had, purple wedding cakes and
you did a lot more kind of modern, the colorful stuff.
Yeah. I did a black wedding cake with,
I got a lot of pearls and swirls. I called it the Richmond cake.
I think I did maybe 7 Richmond cakes.
I did one of those every single week. And it was okay because you can crank them out after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing for me. It's like every single cake took forever because I had never done that before.
Yeah.
And very few did I ever do again.
That's like a custom order every single week.
Oh, yeah.
Like custom design. Yeah, that's... No, I got people who wanted buttercream and pearls and swirls. And I got tired of it. But also, that's fast. You get faster at doing it. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I was slow.
Right.
I was slow.
But then the person whose name I wrote down, did she do fondant or did she just do buttercream?
I think she just did buttercream.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Because there was like a event supplier that had a showroom, and they asked you, me, and she who shall not be named to do a dummy, and it was a theme, and they were going to just make a big display. And so she called me like half a dozen times, what are you making? What are you going to do? Because I don't know what to do. And, I never worked with fondant because,
Yeah.
Whatever. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just, I'll see you Friday, click.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
watch out for the vipers in the nest.
Yeah. And I told her one time, I said, you need to raise your prices. To me, when you said that to me, I took that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, your work is good enough that it's
absolutely.
worth more than, you're charging. And instead of taking the compliment and maybe, seeing the business sense behind it, when I said that to this other girl, she was like, why? Am I taking too much business from you? And I said, no, because your customer is not my customer. Because, I knew I was doing the more funky. She was getting into the pearls and swirls kind of thing. But, that just cemented her in my head. She was an undercutter.
Yeah, she definitely was an undercutter.
Oh, yeah. Always talking about, I'm so busy. But then at one point, in addition to, being so busy with her cakes, she was selling like that saran wrap stuff to help you lose weight. And I thought, okay, if your cake business is so successful,
then you don't have time for that.
Yeah, why are you doing the side hustle?
Yeah, that was, Okay, so number 1, don't trust everybody in your niche. But clearly, we're good friends. All right, so
we are.
Okay, we're good friends.
We are.
Okay, do that right. But I don't care if she shakes her head because I know she's lying. See, this is the thing. So, and we met online. So it is possible to meet people who, I think it's easy. It's probably easier if you're not selling the same thing.
Yeah.
Because then you take that element of competition out of it. Mm-hmm. And I know that the people in my program, like, they genuinely seem to like each other. I'm sure there's people that don't get along, but we do lives every week. Like, we do workshops every week on Zoom calls. Mm-hmm. And I get there late and people are having conversations and laughing and having a good time. So it is possible. And sometimes some of them sell the same types of things too. So it's possible to have friends. And I think it's good to have friends that sell the same thing because you can bounce ideas off each other. Mm-hmm. But you do have to be careful with it.
Yeah.
But then there are the people who don't sell anything like you that you can still learn from. And it's good to me. I think it's good to have meetups in person because even if you have 50 people, like, it's like going to a wedding networking meeting. Everybody has a different piece of it, but the wedding is the common denominator. Mm-hmm. And if you sell online, probably the platform that you sell on is the common denominator, or just dealing with people. Yeah. You know, everybody has the same kinds of challenges, but just
go into it with open eyes, I think is what Kara is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and trust your psycho radar.
Yeah.
Like Debbie said.
Yeah.
If you feel that something is off about someone, you're not obligated to hang out with them.
Or hire, or,
let them hire
let them hire you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just for one last thing, what is the phrase that you used? I talk about you on my podcast, so you guys will probably remember this.
Oh, I'm famous.
I said,
I'm so famous. Glad I waxed my lip today. Wow. Yay.
I was going to mention that.
Oh, thank you.
No, but there's a phrase that Debbie uses, or you probably still use.
I do.
It's very good.
Yes. I'm sorry. It's just not possible for me to do that. It is polite. It's a no, and it gives them zero ammunition. I think women, we tend to, I can't because, and we feel like, we got to read out the litany to justify the no.
Yeah.
And so you've given them zero ammunition to come back at you. Well, why not? Well, if they do come back with, well, why can't you? You just flip that sentence around and you go, because it's just not possible, and I am sorry. And it pops out of my mouth. I don't even think about it anymore. I used to practice it until I got it to that point. And it's been helpful in so many situations for so many years.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. So if you like this video, and again, even if you don't, I don't care. You don't have to like it. It's all right. Give the video a thumbs up, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.